The first time my little boy, Ayan, tugged at my sleeve and whispered nervously about his dad, I brushed it off as childish imagination. He had a vivid imagination, always talking about monsters under the bed or shadows moving on their own, and I had learned to smile, nod, and reassure him that everything was okay. But that night was different. There was a tremor in his voice I had never heard before, a fear so raw that it made my chest tighten. "Mama," he said, his small fingers clutching my hand. "Papa, he's not nice. He hides things. I don't want to go in the other room." I knelt down to look into his eyes, trying to dismiss the panic rising inside me, and I told him, "Sweetheart, your papa loves you. Maybe you just had a scary dream." But the fear in his eyes didn't fade. It grew as he shook his head vigorously, his lips quivering. "No, Mama, I saw it. I heard it. You have to see it. You have to come." His words were like a warning shot through my heart, one that made every instinct in me scream that this was not a dream. I felt my pulse quicken, a strange mixture of maternal instinct and cold dread crawling up my spine. Because deep down, I had always sensed there was something off in our home. Small things I had brushed off, the way my husband sometimes glared at Ayan for no reason, the hushed conversations he had when he thought I wasn't listening, the sudden anger that flared when I asked him a simple question. I had ignored them, told myself I was being paranoid. But now, standing in the dimly lit living room with Ayan clutching my hand and staring toward the slightly open door at the end of the hallway, all those little warning signs came crashing together. He took a deep breath, the kind that only a child forced to carry too much fear can take, and slowly started walking toward the door, dragging me with him. Each step we took felt like moving deeper into an unknown shadow, the hallway lights flickering, the silence stretching so long that it seemed the house itself was holding its breath. I tried to tell myself it was nothing, that my imagination was racing, but Ayan's grip tightened on my hand, and I felt the tremor in his small fingers. Then I saw it, the door at the end of the hallway, slightly ajar, a faint glow escaping from the crack beneath it. My stomach churned, and I felt like I should turn back, but my son whispered again, "Mama, he can't see you yet. Wait." The air smelled strange, metallic almost, like something had spilled and wasn't meant to be seen. My heart pounded harder, my every nerve screaming for me to run, yet something compelled me to take another step, and then another, my small son guiding me like a tiny, terrified beacon through the darkness. I reached the door, my hand shaking as I pushed it open just enough to see inside, and the sight made me freeze. Shadows danced on the walls, twisted and impossible, as if the room itself had become a living thing, and in the center, my husband stood over something that made me gasp so loudly I thought my heart would stop. He hadn't seen me yet. Ayan was hiding behind my legs, peeking around me, his eyes wide with fear and disbelief. My mind raced, trying to process what I was seeing, an object on the floor that shouldn't have been there. A strange arrangement of items that made no sense until I realized the terrible pattern. My husband was muttering under his breath, moving carefully, deliberately, almost ritualistically, as if he was performing some act that had been repeated before. And then the unthinkable happened. He turned slightly and his eyes met mine through the crack of the door. My blood ran cold. He froze, a flicker of recognition passing across his face, and in that instant, I understood everything my little boy had been trying to warn me about. All the times Ayan had cried in the middle of the night, all the subtle bruises I had tried to rationalize as accidents, all the unease I felt in our home, it all converged in that moment. I realized that the danger wasn't in the shadows or in my imagination. It was right there, in the man I had trusted with my life and my child's. My heart pounded so loudly I feared he would hear it, but I couldn't move, couldn't speak. Ayan tugged at my dress, whispering, "Mama, go, run, take me." I swallowed the fear that threatened to choke me, and in a surge of adrenaline, I grabbed his hand, pulled him back, and stepped into the hallway. But even as we retreated, the image burned into my mind: my husband, a man I had thought I knew, standing over something I couldn't yet fully comprehend. The darkness in his eyes, so profound, made my stomach twist with terror. That night, as I held my son close and whispered reassurances, I knew life had changed forever. My instincts told me we were not safe in our own home, that the very person we should have been able to trust posed the gravest threat. And as I plotted our escape, my heart ached with the knowledge that no one could ever understand how close we had to danger except us. The next day, I couldn't sleep. My mind replayed the scene over and over, the way my husband had frozen when he saw us, the way the shadows had twisted around him, the terrifying clarity in my son's eyes that mirrored my own fear. I knew we had to leave, but the logistics terrified me. Where could we go? Who could we trust? I had no family nearby, and calling anyone could risk alerting him. I packed a small bag for Ion and me, throwing in clothes, some food, and his favorite blanket, trying to remain calm while my heart pounded like a drum in my chest. Ion watched every move I made, his small hands hovering over my own, ready to grab and run if I hesitated. We moved silently, like shadows ourselves, slipping out the back door as the early morning light barely touched the sky. The world outside seemed peaceful, almost indifferent, unaware of the danger that had lurked just behind our walls. I drove us to a small motel several hours away, every turn of the wheel accompanied by the fear that he might come after us, that he might notice our absence and realize what we had seen. Ian stayed close to me, sometimes leaning against my shoulder, sometimes asking questions in whispers, questions that made my stomach twist. Mama, why was Papa like that? I didn't have answers I could give him. I just held him, whispered that everything would be okay, and promised that we were safe now. But safety was fragile. I knew I needed proof of what I had seen, some evidence to protect us in case he tried to find us, or worse. I went back mentally over the scene, trying to recall every detail, the items he had been handling, the way he had positioned himself, the murmured words that had slipped through his lips. My mind felt like a broken puzzle, but slowly the pieces started to align. I realized I could photograph certain items next time, could secretly record what he did if necessary, and most importantly, I could keep Ion safe. Days passed. I changed our routines, moved from motel to motel, sometimes sleeping in the car. Every time my phone buzzed, I jumped. Every time a shadow fell across the curtains, my heart froze. But through all the fear, I saw something extraordinary in my son. Despite his terror, he never let go of my hand, never stopped speaking, never lost his trust in me. And I realized that, in a way, his warning had saved us both. Without his courage to speak, without his tiny voice trembling in fear, but still insisting I listen, I might have walked blindly into danger. One evening, I called the police anonymously, explaining what I suspected. They listened, skeptical at first, but I had enough circumstantial detail to make them promise to investigate without revealing my location. I didn't know what they found immediately, but I slept a little easier knowing someone else was aware. Weeks later, with the authorities involved and our location secure, I allowed myself to breathe again. Ian played quietly on the motel bed, building blocks, laughing softly, and for the first time in a long time, I felt the weight lift slightly from my shoulders. But the memory of that hallway, of the glow from behind the door, of the cold expression on my husband's face would never leave me. It was a reminder of how fragile our lives can be, how the people we trust most can sometimes be the source of the deepest danger, and how a child's voice, small, timid, but full of truth, can be the most powerful warning we ever receive. And as I tucked Ion into bed that night, whispering reassurances and holding him close. I knew one thing with absolute certainty: no one would ever convince me to ignore my instincts again. My little son had saved us both, and his bravery had given me the courage to act. Life was never going to be the same, but for the first time in years, I felt free to protect him, free to be brave, and free to finally live without fear of the shadows at home.